So I want to respect people's time and appreciate everyone who logged in on time. We'll probably have some more families joining us, but thank you all for joining us tonight. Because I've been keep looking forward to Wednesdays and seeing all of your faces. We'll do what we usually do, kind of just having an open agenda with time for questions. But we also have some special guests from our CTE department. You might know that if you have a ninth grader, they're getting ready to pick their CTE pathway this week. So I invited some of our CTE teachers to come in and share out about the pathways so that you can talk to your kiddos at home and help them make that decision. So we're gonna start off with that just to respect our teachers' times because they might need to log out a bit earlier than the rest of us. So CTE team, we've got Nicole, who teaches computer science. We have Jerry, who is our digital media master, and Renee, who does a bit of both worlds and is a special educator in our CTE department as well. So I'm gonna pass it off to them. You guys should have the access to unmute yourself and share your screen if you need to.
All right. Hey, how you doing, everybody? I'm sorry, I didn't think we were gonna jump right in. I thought Liz had a script and you were gonna point to me. I guess kind of what you just did. So should we start rolling out the material, you think?
Yeah, go for it.
Nicole, would you want to lead that and I'll back you up?
Sure. So maybe a good place to start is just to clarify that we're a maker school based in design thinking. And so by sophomore year, they get exposed to all that freshman year, but by sophomore year, they then kind of choose which pathway, still maker, still design thinking, but which pathway they're kind of leaning more towards, whether it matches their interests or their career goals. So it's digital media or career or computer science. And as a way to set the kids up, I believe Chad and Liz, they're gonna roll it out tomorrow and then decide Friday, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So as a way to set them up, just something you could maybe talk to them about beforehand, or maybe even check in with them during or after. They'll be getting a quick, really brief, don't think too much about it survey that kind of has them self-reflect on their interests, type of activities, type of values they have. And then after doing that survey, they're going to watch a quick 1-minute trailer for each pathway, which kind of highlights some of the work products that the kids have made the past few years or this year. And then after that, they'll get one clear and concise document comparing the two pathways. And then their advisors will send them the link to actually choose the pathway. So quick survey to think about it, trailers to kind of see it, one document to process it, and then they decide the next day.
So if you guys think back, maybe it's an open house you attended, last year at some point, we gave this whole spiel of what the school was about and the two pathways, and we're kind of thinking it's a little bit of kind of what we did then, but then it's going to be a few more details. Nicole, myself, and Miss Ward will be on standby for the kids at all point where they could email us at any time with questions. So it's a little bit more, like I said, in depth of what happened at the open house. Nicole, are we able to show the trailers and kind of the content that the kids are going to look at tomorrow, just so the parents can ask questions? Or like I see Liam hiding in the corner over there. Liam might have some questions today.
Sorry, I was mute. I could share my screen, but my Wi-Fi is really bad. I've been like jumping from room to room to try to see which is the best. Can someone else share it from theirs?
I can share it from mine if it's possible.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry, Chad. Wi-Fi shoddy.
I'm gonna share my screen now. And I will, yeah, babe, I gotta work with these people. I gotta work with the parents.
I wanna
Wait one
work with
second.
you.
So I'm gonna show you the first video,
I wanna see the first video.
and here we go.
Can I see those videos with you?
All right, you wanna watch the video?
Yeah. Wow.
So that's option number 1. Let me find. And now let's take a look at option number 2.
I want to see option 2. What's the difference? Okay, I just want to say bye, everyone.
All right. My daughter wants to say bye. Say hi and bye.
Hi, bye.
Hi.
Okay, so those are the videos, and I think that they were expertly done. I'm really, really amazed by what Jen, Nicole, and Jerry came up with, and I think it's fantastic. So I just want to commend them, and I don't say that enough. So
Thank you, bud. Liz, is there a way for me to share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to.
All right. Sorry, I know I'm a CTE guy, but I'm not very social media versed.
If you don't know, Jerry is the one who lives in our like hands-on part of our makerspace with all the woodworking tools and everything. So
I mean, I do plenty of digital at work, but usually outside of the building, I don't touch any digital or social media or anything like that.
Bottom middle.
Share screen, I see it.
Yeah.
That was easy. There you go. Okay, I think okay. Let's see if this works for me. Okay, no thanks for now. All right, so then the students are going to start off with a little questionnaire given by the advisor.
Jerry, you're frozen.
woodworking. Our two pathways have a lot of overlapping. So just because a student, is into one talent or skill or hobby doesn't mean that there's only one pathway for them. So what this does, did I just do all this? Sorry, let me go a little further. From there, it gives them a little questionnaire survey on how much time, how comfortable they are in sitting at a computer. We get more into their interests. And let me go over here, because we like to differentiate. Not every kid is gonna be into the reading or the video. We have a one sheet comparing the two pathways. So hopefully you guys can see what I have here. The focus on the red side, you're gonna see digital media. On the blue side, you're gonna see computer science, some possible career pathways. Now, I think I told you guys way back in the open houses, we never try to pigeonhole a kid to one career, or one industry or one pathway. So at this age, they probably aren't 100% of what they want to do. So like I said, there's a lot of overlap. And fortunately, there's enough time in their schedule. If our students pass everything, hopefully by the senior year, there's more flexibility in their schedule that they would actually be able to get certified in a second pathway. So if there's somebody who just can't choose, if they work hard enough, they can pull off both of them. I'm going to scroll a little further. What we do, students will explore the potential of visual literacy in the form of digital artworks, print work, physical installations, and interactive objects. That, of course, is my department, the digital media department. And Nicole has, for computer science, students are exploring different ways to create and control the world around them in the form of computer programs, games, interactive devices, and close industry partners. And then we end over here with some sample projects. Hopefully the kids, ideally we would have wanted to take them for a tour throughout all the classrooms so they can see up close and hold in their hands the products that they're developing. We didn't get to that, so then the slideshows have some visual descriptions, and we have some bullet pointed projects over here. If we're open, if you guys have any questions, the chunk of this is going to be that. It's going to be more of a discussion that we're having with our students, a class discussion through our advisory periods, but also discussions that we can have with the kids on the side when we're doing individual conferences with them. So this is just a brief overview. This is what we're giving the kids. But if you guys want to have a little discussion or conferencing right now, we can do that.
Yeah, so let's transition to that. Parents or any of our students who are on right now, what questions do you have about CTE pathways? Just go ahead and jump right in.
Hi, everybody. So I am thinking specifically Liam would want to do the digital pathway. And so as a parent, I'm interested in exactly like what that involves with respect to critical thinking and problem solving, and how does he grow academically through this program?
So I love it that even though you mentioned digital media, but the fact that you mentioned problem solving, we start with that. We start with looking at design and understanding design as problem solving. Design isn't necessarily graphics or visuals. That's what most people think of, but design is solving a problem. And I think, I've used before the idea of a bridge to get from point A to point B over the river. Yeah, you could either learn how to swim, you could build a boat, or you could build a bridge. There's multiple ways to get to the other side and solve that problem. I think by the time students get to us, a lot of them have lost contact with their visual arts and creative side. There's, back in elementary school, kids draw every day. By the time they finish elementary school, 5th, 6th grade, a lot of kids drop out of visual arts and drawing, either because they pick up other hobbies or because it's not cool or because their schools just aren't offering it to them. By the time they finish middle school and get to us, there's even less kids who are trying to visually communicate. So then I kind of start off with the freshmen. If we are looking at visuals, it's a very basic visual communication language that we're looking at. We talk about usage of design elements, line, shape, and color. And while that might sound very babyish, there's a lot of, we start off basic and then we push like advanced ways of using line, shape, color, form, texture. And I connected back to when they were babies. I let them know, look, don't be intimidated, because there's a good majority of the students are coming to us, I don't know how to draw, I don't know how to draw syndrome. And I let them know, well, you can communicate still visually. And if they have any doubts, I, refer back to when they were kids. When Elmer Fudd hits Bugs Bunny on the head with a hammer, his face turns red. What does the red mean? And they might say, oh, he's in pain. But what happens when Babs Bunny kisses Bugs on the cheek and his face turns red? Is he angry and pain? And they say, no, it means he's in love and he's blushing. So right there, that's kind of making it safe for them and kind of bringing back all those pop culture references that they get left and right, especially living in New York City. They're just bombarded by it. So I do start off on a very friendly level with them. I'm realizing there's good things that are coming out of this quarantine thing. So while ideally I wish we were there in the building with the kids, it's making me realize that sometimes technology, whether it's a computer or whether it's power tools, they become a distraction. They become a little bit more of a priority in the kids' eyes over the actual work that they're producing or the problem solving, as you said. So these assignments that I've been giving during quarantine time to my students, they're visual problem solving. And I'll give them, they're worksheets and they might look simple at first, but it's getting the kids' brains to just push and push and push to find multiple solutions for this one little problem. Sorry if I took over there, but I love it that you said problem solving, because that's what both departments are focused on. We're getting a big reputation. A lot of people come to visit us, and the first thing they ask is about the technology. And I always go back to, no, it's not about that. It's about problem solving, whether it's with a pencil or whether it's with a 3D printer.
You remember when we had gone to visit the Cooper Hewitt Design Museum, and while a lot of the objects in there were beautiful, it just struck us that a lot of the emphasis on it was solving a problem. So thank you so much, Jerry.
Pleasure.
And can I just add something that I found really fascinating? I work with seniors in literature, and this year we did something where I really like to incorporate the theme of the school. And so we took Their Eyes Were Watching God and created these pop-up stores at Maker. And what I was amazed by was the amount of critical thinking and problem solving that they put into the project. And there was this one particular thing that stands out, which was that they created the currency for how everything would go. And I just remember one kid being like, I messed up the 3D printer. I have to figure it out. And I'm not gonna, and I told them, I was like, you can't bother Jerry. He is teaching right now. And they figured it out. They problem solved. And then when I asked them, I was like, why is this so important? They're like, the coins are super important because, and they were like connecting it to the books and critically incorporating the book to the choices that they were making. That was really creative. And I thought that was really powerful. And Jerry doesn't teach them anymore, but that impact and the skills they gained was really powerful for me as a teacher, assessing them on something else. That was really important.
And to piggyback off of what Jerry and Chad said, I'm new to the school this year, and one reason, but not new to teaching. And one reason I eagerly came to this school is because their mission statement, but also they live it, is that they're grounded in design thinking, which is kind of like what you said, just based in problem solving, which in itself, if you're constantly exposed to that and asked to do that, with the design thinking process, your critical thinking just, improves and expands, regardless of which pathway. And I would even argue regardless of which class you're in, from what I've seen.
I have a question.
Evie, I see Hive.
Yeah, I have a question. So at what point, if a student decides that they might actually want to try both pathways, at what point is it too late to decide that?
I guess the end of senior year is probably too late.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty flexible. Usually it's helpful since I'm the one who makes their schedules, it's usually helpful for me to know that in like 10th grade is usually ideal. That way I can work with them to make some decisions because often taking extra CTE classes might mean taking less of something else. Because there's only so much time in the day. But there's a few different options for how to do that. And we have some students who they really just want to do it all and they opt into summer school, even though that they're passing all their classes and earning all of their credits. We have some students who do some of their core classes over the summer so that way they can spend more of their day doing CTE courses. But yes, if you have an older student who wants to do that, all they really have to do is just email me and I'll set up a time to meet with them.
Yeah, and also, I think formally, Lasani, correct me if I'm wrong, is in both pathways, and maybe, I'm not sure, seems to be managing both pretty well because he's kind of passionate about both. But also informally, I've had 3 or 4 kids this year from the digital media pathway who, because they're really into it and they really want to learn about programming or robotics, they've stayed after school and have managed to kind of keep up with a lot of the skills that the computer science kids are learning. So that's another thing that I like about Maker is that there's a lot of space and resources after school to learn new skills or expand on the skills you're already learning in the school day.
So that's a good dovetail for my question for Roan. He has a lot of background with programming, and so he hasn't really enjoyed it yet at Maker because I don't know if he's beyond it, but he's done a lot of that in the summer. So if he were to pursue stuff in the summer, maybe, is there a way to dovetail in at some point? So, because Jerry, he's going to pick your path, he is.
I mean, well, this is where we should have, parents can have conversations and advisors can have conversation, or Nicole and I could jump and have conversations with all the kids. And it's harder now that we're not there in person, but they shouldn't, we want to give them choice and voice in all this, but we might be able to counsel them and or have them really give them all the facts and have them weigh it out. So like, let's say in the case of Rowan, digital media might work great for him, but maybe he wasn't challenged as much yet because this year Rowan's taking the 9th grade have the foundations course, and the foundations is a very surface level introduction to kids who haven't experienced either one. If Rowan someone like Rowan and a few other students I know are more advanced, they may not be as challenged in the 9th grade. And unfortunately, they got to wait to the 10th grade to feel that. So we want to make sure he doesn't regret later, like, darn, I really wish I pursued computer science because I would be a lot more advanced. But it's, I really wish we were all in person and we had more face-to-face time with the kids. Sorry, we're in a very strange place right now. What I can say, and I know I don't have to sell the school to you guys at this point, but what I always loved about the school, in particular our department, we've always been very transparent. We don't have an answer. Like I said, we get visitors from, I was going to say all around the country, but no exaggeration, people from other countries now are coming to see us. And a lot of people think we have an answer, and we figured out the riddle to how to put out a good school. I think it's our transparency and our willingness to learn from our mistakes that makes us special. So I can actually say with Nicole, after we're done with this meeting, like, darn, Nicole, I really wish, we could find a way to take those 3-4 advanced kids who come in the 9th grade, like Roan, and really challenge them in the 9th grade. That's our weak spot. I recognize it. I wrote it down, and now we're going to tackle that in the future. But I think that's what helps us. we are a very organic place, and we don't have an answer for everything, but we figure it out.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what Jerry said, I was about to actually just say, in all transparency, when I jumped in, I found that the kids who even picked the computer science pathway in both the 10th and 11th grade, the skill levels and experience and even interest levels, in spite of being on the computer science pathway, was so vast. And one thing that I can say I do pretty confidently is to see what, look at what we have, assess it, use as many resources as we can to see, well, how can we meet the kids where they are, bridge this gap, including the kids who are a little more advanced than, let's say, their peers. And, you know, I'm not saying I did it perfectly this year, but I'm definitely like using design thinking. You know, I'm a big advocate for that while I'm teaching, and already have like lots of ideas for next year. Now that I'm getting to know the school and the community and the kids' levels more, I have better ideas of how to address those differences, because we are going to get kids in the computer science pathway who, while I'm really interested in this, I've never programmed before. And then you're going to have kids who, you know, their mom or dad are developers, and they've been exposed to this day in, day out, and they're ready to like do way more than what's being offered. But I'm willing to step up to meet them wherever they are.
Yeah, I gotta say, Nicole has already stepped up. I'm overjoyed that Nicole joined us this past year. When you guys walked into the school, the digital media pathways everywhere that you look, and it's what's flashy now. But that's because I had quite a few years now to build it out. And now that Nicole jumped in, she's doing that with the computer science pathway, and we're finding different ways and partners to back her up. So while the kids have digital media rubbed in their face as soon as they walk through the door, it's going to balance out eventually with computer science. And we're already seeing, Liz is talking about how she's seeing the numbers balance out with the kids from this past year alone who chose the computer science pathway over digital media. So I have a lot of faith that we're going to become a little more well-rounded in the near future.
Sorry, Liz, were you going to say something?
I was just going to cue you up, Renee, because
okay.
I've been wanting to say something for a while.
No, I was just going to say, I think I'm Renee, if I don't know some of you, but I actually see most of your kids throughout the day because I work in the CTE department and in the foundations of physics classes, and as an advisor for 9th grade. So I think there's only 25 9th graders I don't see throughout the day out of 125. So, and a lot of those kids I have also interacted with. And I think like to pull together what Nicole and Jerry are saying and talking about your kids picking a pathway. I'm not a CTE expert in terms of the pathways, but I am very cued into a lot of your kids' skills, and many of them are incredibly talented in both areas. And I think tonight and tomorrow and Friday, I've, as the 9th grade advisor, started asking them to start thinking about this, like we've talked about critically. I've been sort of like asking them questions about maybe what do you want to do in the future? Like, forget maker. What is your next step? Where do you see yourself going to college? Maybe you don't see yourself going to college and you see yourself taking a complete route into a vocational setting where maybe you can work on technology stuff. So I've been starting to have those conversations in the 9th grade during advisory. And I think like your next step as parents might be to have those conversations tonight. And maybe say, you might have already decided like digital media is my pathway, but let's talk about it. Let's discuss like, what are some things that you like about digital media? What are some things you could like about computer science? Just a thought.
Jacques, you have a question? You want to jump in?
No, I just want to give props to Jerry and all the teachers. My son's on the other end. He's junior, Anton. And Jerry was the first teacher I met when we came to look at Maker. And it seems like whenever I visited, Jerry was there, as well as the other teachers. But I just want to applaud you guys for building a tremendous school and, really thinking about it and being relational and hands-on. And I'm getting a little misty now as I'm thinking about my son exiting. So thanks for your support and your professionalism.
Thank you. I can't believe Anton is already. I can't believe he's a junior. I get it's that's nuts.
Thanks again.
I see another parent has your hand raised. I can't see your name. iPad 9. Oh, there
So
you
hi.
go.
I'm sorry, this is Yolanda. I'm Dream's mom, and I joined a little late, so I may have missed some of the conversation. So I just want you guys to know that I think you're doing a great job. Dream shares with me a lot of what's happening with school, and she has it up on the TV, she has it up on her iPad, and she's still very excited to be learning, you know, despite it being virtual. But I just had a quick question about, she did come to me, she has a little bit of anxiety about the decision to make before Friday. And was just curious if they make a decision now, and then let's just say summer sets in or something happens, and forgive me again if you've already gone over this, what will happen in September? Is the decision for Friday kind of set, or will it depend on how many students pick the other pathway, whether or not a child can change?
Great question. Students can definitely change. We have so I'm also usually around this time of year, we start with the 9th graders, but I also usually send an email to our 10th and 11th graders asking them what they want to do. And we have students switch between the pathways all the time. It's helpful right now for all of your children to fill it out, even if they're unsure. So that way we can start making some decisions about what their schedules will look like next year, how many different sections of each course that we need our teachers to teach. But if at any time your child changes your mind, all they have to do is reach out to their advisor or to anybody on the CT department, and we can help them make their decision.
And just
Okay, thank you.
And just something I want to say that I found really useful in making any decision is what do you feel you're strongest at? What are you interested in? It's not the teacher, it's the thing that you're going to study. And what will you dive into that you know that is your passion? And so like there are two different pathways, but the whole thing about it is that they will get a lot out of it and they're going to get great teachers out of it. But I think for the student to think about what do they want to do and study and think about and really explore, what is it? And that's crazy. It's like we're asking a 14, 15-year-old to make that decision. But I think it's a great decision, and have them think about what do they want.
Also consider the end of the pathways, the certifications that the kids are getting. I mean, it's all related, but it's just another. The certifications can serve as a key to particular industries or career options that the kids might be interested into. So maybe like if we all the material that we just kind of flashed in front of you, we're going to give it out in through advisory, but it'll be in advisory's Google Classroom. So you guys are more than welcome. It might be in there right now. If not, it'll be in there by tomorrow morning. But you guys are welcome to like open it up with them, walk through it with your kids, and everything from day one to we talk about the either the Adobe Photoshop certification or the Python programming certification, and then we have careers related to those certifications. So take a peek.
And I could even say to what Dream's mom to what Dream's mom had brought up. I'm not saying that every kid is going to be in the same boat, but while you were speaking, it made me think of this one particular student in the computer science pathway. When I first met him in September, I was like, you hate computers, you hate programming, how did you end up on this path? And he's like, I don't know. So he just was not clued in when we had sessions like this in advisory, but that's like thinking worst case scenario where he's like almost like a Luda, like he does not like tech, not even just computer science, just tech. We've found ways to kind of loop in their interest, to kind of put some motivation into like, oh, how can I bring my own aptitude? Like even if computer science turned out to not be my aptitude and high interest, we've still found ways to find openings for them to contribute to the spaces and connect to the projects for them to, you know, push through and learn, improve their critical thinking, practice their design thinking. So worst case scenario isn't too bad, I guess, is what you could kind of like, if they're feeling anxious about it.
Another point I could bring up is, let's say, like I said, we're always redeveloping our curriculum. We're always improving on it if it needs to be improved on. And now that Nicole is with us, eventually we're going to find ways to overlap the two pathways in projects. So in any industry, digital media and computer science don't usually stand alone. They have their own identity, but sooner or later in an industry, they're gonna overlap. And we already are seeing connections through our mobile app development. I've been working on it for a more aesthetic and structural perspective that I'm teaching the kids of mobile apps. And Nicole's been touching on mobile app development, through computer science. So there's going to come a point where we actually have that connection going, where the kids are going back and forth between visit my class and her class, even if it's informally, and they'll get the taste of both.
So I just want to cut in because we spent a lot of time talking about CTE. And if there are more questions from parents, I would definitely want to take those, but I also want to just honor that there might be some other questions in the room. So I guess parents, do you have any other questions about CTE or for our CTE teachers?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much to our CTE team for joining in and putting together all these materials. I want to just open it up like we often do most weeks. Any other questions? I know that was mostly geared towards our younger kiddos, especially those of you who have older children. What other questions do you have?
Can I ask a question to the parents? Is that weird?
Absolutely, go ahead, Nicole.
I was just curious I know every parent is different, but what the general preference is with how to communicate to everyone? Is phone too much, or is email preferred, or is the Remind app, is that something that a lot of us are using?
Yeah, we don't have a preference, actually. We actually don't mind the texts at all. Actually, the reminders are really good. Sometimes the time does creep up sometimes, but we've been good with all the methods we've been using. Thank you so much, by the way, guys. Our son Gabriel, he's been engaged. We've had these conversations. Definitely when he speaks with their advisory as well, he comes back with questions. This came up, Mom and Dad, and it's actually, there's certain benefits to this, honestly. The communication is definitely there. It doesn't have to wait till at 3 o'clock or 3:30 we used to come home from school. So
thank you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job.
Yeah, I know it's not easy. Thank you so much.
I see in the chat a lot of people agreeing that no preference or text and remind is getting some votes there. Any other parents want to jump in on what's working well for you or what's not working well for you with our communication?
Will there be an opportunity to have, we never really had actual parent-teacher conferences. The parent-teacher conferences turned into talking about how remote learning was going to go. I know it's getting late in the year. Is that something that will come up, or?
Yeah, great question, Evie. So yeah, there actually always is a May parent-teacher conference night as well. What we are going to do this time around is, rather than it being a night, we're going to stretch it out over the next couple weeks, just because we want to honor everyone's different schedules. I am asking advisors to prioritize the students who aren't doing well academically, just because as we're getting close to the end of the school year, we want to really make sure we're supporting our students in promoting to the next grade. So we're probably, if your child is doing really, really well, your child's advisor might not be reaching out right away to set up a conference, but feel free to reach out to any of us, and we can definitely make sure we set one up. We're going to be sending out an email soon with the details of that, and all you'd have to do is just reply to that, and we'll make sure you get a conference.
Okay.
Other questions from parents or things you want to bring up?
Hi, everyone. I have a question in regards to the Regents exam. I know it's exempt for this year. Does that include for the freshmen? I believe they had to do the Regents in algebra. Are they exempt from that?
Yes, they will be, as long as they pass their course.
Okay.
They will be exempt from that Regents.
Okay.
And if you have an older student who was planning on retaking an exam, so perhaps you have a 10th grader who didn't do so hot on algebra last year, we're going to put in an exemption for them as well, that they were intending to retake that exam and that they had been preparing to improve. So that way it'll also help them towards their progress to graduation.
Thank you. Oh, and also I have another question. I've been meaning to reach out to my son, Steven Torres, his teachers, just to see if he's catching up with all the work. I'm having a problem with my internet, and I can't get all the information whether or not he completed all his work on time. Is there any way I could email or reach out to them? I'm trying to, by the website, for some reason I can't get through. Should I contact you to try to reach them?
Yeah, if you want, and I'll just put in the chat, although my computer is also being glitchy right now.
Yes.
We are stressing out our Wi-Fi systems a lot these days. I'm putting just an email there, leadership@uamaker.nyc. If you email that, that'll go to Chad, Luke, and I, and we can help you make sure that you have whatever information you need or the contact information of any teachers.
Okay. And will there be a summer class, summer school? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's looking like summer school will also be remote, that there won't be in-person summer school. It's not 100% official yet, but that's what it's looking like. If your student doesn't pass one of their classes, they'll get a course extension, which will allow them to basically continue doing the work through the summer. We also are still offering for students. I've had a few students reach out who want to accelerate, that they want to take an extra course this summer to get ahead. And we're still doing that, but as online courses.
Okay. And they, in case they want to accelerate, they reach out to you or the parent will reach out. How many classes can they accelerate? 1 or 2?
We usually do 1 a summer, but we always have some students that if they're moving forward really, really quickly, we can add more.
Okay. And that duration is like 6 to 8 weeks, correct?
Yeah, usually 6 or 7 weeks.
6 to 7 weeks. One more question, sorry.
No.
For students that were applying into working summer jobs, I believe it was canceled. Is there any way there's an opportunity for children to learn that job experience for maybe for next year? Or I don't know what to say about, because he's looking forward to working, and we, because of what's going on, we're not even sure when they reopen what's going to happen. Are the schools going to give us the information for the children to find a job, or it's just canceled completely?
Yeah, so that's trickier, because this is the time of year where we're pushing all of our students usually to apply for summer jobs and internships. We usually hire a number of students ourselves. Right now, a lot of that is kind of just on pause. We do have Ashley Vega, who's our full-time partnership coordinator, her job is looking for those opportunities for students and sharing them out as soon as she finds them. So the students should definitely be checking their email, because that's who they'll look for. Emails from Ashley, that's who would have the best information. She's also setting up individual meeting with kids so that if they want to talk through their options. Right now it is pretty limited, but as soon as things become available, we will share that out. There is some talk that we might be able to allow some internships soon. It seems like that might be opening up, but we really don't know yet.
Okay, thank you so much. And I applaud all the work you have done, and it shows in the hard effort our children are trying to do and how much interest they want to go back to school. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to hear. Just looking at the chat. What other questions or topics do parents want to discuss? Can't tell if people are frozen or just we've hit our capacity of Zoom meetings for the day.
Okay, I have a question. I can't get Roan to read other than the bare minimum for class. Anybody got any tips on how to make your 9th grader read more?
Good question. Chad, as our resident English teacher, I wonder if you have any thoughts? You're muted.
So I don't have, I'm thinking, give me 1 second.
While Chad is thinking, something that I've done in my years teaching when like I have the kids' ear during a club or after school or something or during lunch. I don't know, my philosophy is that everyone loves reading. They just have to find the right subject or topic or genre. I found some success with teenagers that claim that they don't love to read or like to read with just kind of throwing books at them constantly, like checking in with them, seeing what their interest is, try to find a book that matches that. And sometimes it was like 5, 6, 7, 8 books until we found something that they like, but then they eventually find something that they like because of the subject or because of who wrote it or because of what it's about, that they kind of just are really motivated to finish the book. And then like that'll be your hint for the next book to find after that. I know it's not like I don't know if it's a clear enough answer, but I found a lot of success with that with my students.
Go for it, Jerry.
I think trying to figure out how to get a 9th grader to read, I think that's one of the few times that I think it's okay for us to stereotype. I find, for example, let's say Roan loves tech and he loves computers and he loves video games. If I stereotype, I think not most, but a lot of kids I know and adults who are into that lifestyle, they like genres such as, what is it, dystopian genres. And more kind of futuristic fantasy. So things like Divergent, of course, that everybody knows about, but there's an author, I'll get you a list, but there's quite a few series that all of a sudden, because Hunger Games did so well and Divergent did so well, now Hollywood is going after all these other authors that were known for that it was when it was an unpopular small genre of dystopian. And usually within graphic novels, now they're hot shots, and Hollywood is trying to push all of their trilogies. So I'll get you a list of a few things, but the first thing that pops into my head with Roan himself or anybody who's into tech is that futuristic dystopian society type of genre.
Something else, and it's really funny, I'm an English teacher, but when I was younger, when I was a middle schooler and early high schooler, I hated reading. The thing that actually helped me, one thing that helped me was listening to books. And like, it was just more like I'd turn it on and I'd walk around the house and do other things. But I mean, I read a lot that year for some reason. That's one way. Another thing is, what are they interested in? And I think Evie brought it up, which is, thinking about things like graphic novels, and there's some fantastic graphic novels out there that kind of add that cinematic stuff to it. Also, it's funny because I remember once driving in a car and my mom was like, "What are you reading?" And I was like, "Oh, it's this book about this serial killer who like does all," and I was reading The Silence of the Lambs, and she was all like, she's like, "You're 14. Not going to turn the car over. She's like, you're reading a book. That's a good thing. But I think it's that realization that I'm getting older and my mom didn't stop me from reading the book. So yeah, even though I remember in the 7th grade, I started reading The Exorcist because all my friends were, and she was all like, you're not reading that book in this house. So never read The Exorcist, but but the whole idea though is finding things they're interested in, maybe, you know, thinking about ways of listening to the books. Those are some strategies I'm thinking about.
I just want to call out, there's some great ideas in the chat that are coming up as well of things to do as a family. I really like that idea of like reading some articles as a family. So I'm checking out those. Do other parents have suggestions on that topic?
And Gwendolyn, I think I love what you're saying is that you're reading it in hopes of inspiring. I think that was really huge. My dad was a big reader, and I just remember him forcing us to listen to books on tape. And because he was like, I need to finish this book today. And I read it on the plane ride and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, now we're going to take a 3-hour car ride and we're reading, you know, War and Peace.
Yeah, I hope it works. I spent like $50 on the, what was it? The entire compendium of blah, 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 the zombie thing.
Yeah.
What's the?
Walking Dead? No.
Yeah, The Walking Dead. So I have this like giant, you know, doorstopper Walking Dead. He's like, yeah, sure, Mom.
But I know it's not a book, but my maker student's younger brother is the one who refuses to read, but he likes the anime, and they're in Japanese, so it's all subtitles. So it's not a book, but he doesn't realize it, but he is reading, because if he doesn't read, he has no idea what's going on. So, you know, anything that makes him read, we're encouraging, because he says he hates it. So,
and it's a great jump
no,
to
not you, Eli.
It's a great jump to manga, which is graphic novels.
Right, which he will read occasionally.
Definitely seen students who are into anime jump to that. So,
what other questions do you have, parents? Or any other announcements anyone wants to make? All right, well, it seems like we have kind of exhausted our conversation. So we'll let people get on with their evening. I'm sure lots of people have dinner cooking and all of that good stuff. Thank you all once again for joining us. Special thanks to our CTE team for jumping in today. But really appreciate all the parents who take the time to log into these every week or when you can. And we will continue to host these every Wednesday night. So definitely join in, bring your questions. And I'm seeing loving special guests. We'll try to get, there's a chance that I'm trying to get, you know, it came up recently that people remembered Clint's trauma presentation that he had done a few months ago at a PA meeting. I'm trying to get him to commit to coming to one of these during his busy schedule. And Ivy also is looking at doing a college awareness one in the near future. So hopefully the next couple weeks we'll have some special guests, but we'll share out exactly who's coming each time as soon as we have that calendar ironed out. So keep looking out for that. All right, well, thank you all. Have a great evening, and I hope we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.